songwriter,
The photo is aging, droplets of sudden red.
producer, composer, band leader, recording studio honcho, and the founder of Create Interesting Music, which is a mentorship program which helps creative guitarists develop into full-fledged artists. The Somerville music scene is like, for people who are, in their early 20s in a certain era, it's like they were getting, I mean, that's how I met Miles. I mean, I met Miles in JP, like in Jamaica Plain, but like,
yeah, because he went to Harvard, right?
Yeah. I feel like in another life I was doing a PhD in Somerville or something.
Oh, same, absolutely.
Yeah.
one path, one road not taken, but
yeah,
I have like 15 minutes or so.
Okay, cool. So. Yeah, let's jump right in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so should we listen to the more recent one first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do the more recent one. The first one I kind of just basically just bounced it like immediately.
Yeah.
Without really thinking, and then this one, like, obviously, like, neither of them are finished. Like, It's truly like minimal. There's still other stuff I want to add in, but it is kind of what I was saying in terms of this is the barest in a sense, and kind of like working from there. This is like the demo version, so.
Yeah, totally. Okay. I'll hit play. I started listening to the first like 20 seconds before you hopped on the call, and I mean, what I've heard already is like really, I mean, it sounds amazing. So props to you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. All right, now let's listen to the full thing.
Ooh, okay. I don't know if you just heard my navigation.
I did not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, okay. So there are a lot of avenues for talking about this that I could just jump into, but I don't want to just start talking about something that may or may not be useful to you, or that would not be useful to you. So basically, I think the best way to move forward is just tell me about how you feel about where this track is currently at.
So I think it's like almost there. Because I have like a previous recording of it that I just fucked around with it too much. And I mean, this was even prior to me getting a good enough vocal or guitar take, and I just was like, okay, it's gonna be lo-fi, and I'm just gonna throw a bunch of noise at it, basically.
Yeah,
and
totally.
This is a very stripped down version of it. I still want to add, I want more synth than it has now, just to I kind of want to up the witchiness, like, a bit, because it sounds a little bit too sweet for me right now. And like, there's a certain, I want it to be a little darker, and like sound design wise. But like instrumentation, like I don't feel like I need to add anything else like harmonically. Really, it's just more replicating things with other instruments and production stuff.
Okay, cool. So just to kind of summarize, for one thing, the type of arrangement that you're working with right now, which is like acoustic guitar and some synths and voice, that's like basically what you want it to be. Like, you're not thinking about like adding drums and bass and like a horn section.
That's the thing. Like, I've tried adding little drum parts before and it just doesn't really work. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I just feel like it doesn't really need it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I agree. I think that
Yeah,
I think just working with what you've already got, um I think that's totally the right instinct. I think that's just kind of my first one of my first thoughts is like how much of a demo is this versus how much of like because it doesn't I mean in terms of performance quality and I think also in terms of audio quality, it doesn't sound like a demo or
I
anything.
know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm just checking in because you had mentioned, demos and then doing things in studio. But okay, so that sounds like that's pretty clear. Okay, so then when we talk about yeah, it being almost there. I totally hear what you mean. And then you're talking about I'm in our Google Doc, so I'm taking a few notes
Oh,
here, but
cool.
it's
Okay.
almost there. It's a little bit darker, or you want to go a little bit darker in terms of sound design. You want to sort of up the witchiness, and then as far as instrumentation
Yeah.
goes, don't necessarily need to add like new instrumental parts. Um,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. Okay,
I don't
so
want to
then
muddy it too much. If honestly, what I was starting to work on was at the end, basically just adding I was working on adding something like MIDI to kind of a little bit like kind of make the last part a bit more unsettling, a little bit more like like I'm kind of going for a broadcasty vibe in that final part.
okay,
I also just I've another thing I've thought about is maybe not adding anything like a melodic vocal line, but maybe just like not like I mean, I've never really tried to do any sort of like screaming, but just like something that's not quite spoken word, not quite something vocal that just adds to the texture of it.
totally.
Um, and but also having a higher pitched synth part just to bring out what's already there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think these are good ideas. I think that these are good
Yeah.
instincts. Um, so something that I'd be curious to ask you about has to do with trying to think about how to enter the world of this topic. Also, I know your time is super limited and yeah, so we can pick this up at any point, but just the
Mhm.
first thing that jumps out to me basically has to do with the total I mean it's pretty much in mono. I mean there are some wider the sounds feel like the acoustic guitar feels wide, but it's like straight down the middle, voices straight down the middle. And then there's some reverb
Oh,
that kind of
yeah.
blossoms outward. And there's some little things as far as sound design goes, wanting the sound design to be a little bit darker. Like putting reverb on an acoustic guitar is such a weird thing because there are all these really bright sounds that don't really, there aren't the pitch sounds like fingers sliding over strings, for example. I wasn't hearing a lot of that in your case, but I've just had so many experiences with putting reverb on acoustic guitars and hearing all
Oh,
of these reverb artifacts that kind of poke out. And I was hearing,
I like that though.
okay, cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of I mean, also the first version, um, the main difference is that there's nothing on the guitar. So you should listen to it.
Yeah, I should. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So then basically my first thought there was as far as like literally like darker sound design, it could just be pulling off some of the high frequencies in the reverb. And so like in
Okay.
Ableton, I'll use like an EQ8 and I'll just like
Yes, yes.
band like just do a what's it called? Like high pass filter, there's a low pass filter and just scoop out things above a certain frequency range. And I think
Yeah.
it's because of my like very sort of like Frank Ocean blonde pilled like production style, but like I use band pass filters on pretty much all of my reverb. So, and
Okay.
this is a really small note, but it's just it can be helpful to think about the sort of EQ frequency space that you're putting your reverb into, and think about how that blends with the mix and how you perceive depth and stuff like that. So let's just take a quick thought. My bigger thought
Yeah.
really was like, if you so something that you don't it's not necessary. This is a little bit more of like a how I might do it sort of thing
Hmm.
is like
Hmm.
um I wonder about double tracking guitars and using double tracking as a way to create movement in the stereo image.
Yes.
Because right now you
Okay.
have these things straight down the middle. And if you were to record, also if you were to record in stereo, so you have two mics on the guitar, and you were to,
True.
for example, record two different takes of yourself playing over sections of the song that you want to be wider, and then you have one of those on the left and one of those on the right, then what you can start to do is create some shape where like when you go to a
Yes.
quieter part or you go to a part that you want to feel more intimate, the stereo image can really kind of narrow in because you can basically cut away or fade away. I mean, fading might be not quite the right way to do this, but you can basically remove the
Mhm.
guitars that are on the side and just have the straight guitar and voice. If you want things to be bigger, you can kind of bring back the double tracked guitars that are on the left and the right. And then we get this sense of like widening and narrowing, but without adding more parts. And I think maybe, possibly, I'm not 100% on this, but what with some of the things you're talking about, adding additional parts, I wonder how much of it's really the desire for a new musical part. And I wonder how much it's really like just a desire to either expand the stereo image or expand like the frequency range for like frequency band presence of the
Yeah.
instruments that are already there. Because I wonder, like right now, the synth sound that's there. I mean, as far as having a track that's got, it's kind of economic in how it's like laid out. Like it's not like super excessive or anything, or it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know if like restrained is a weird word because it can mean a lot of different things. But it all feels very intentional and it's all very like not too much. Everything is just so, everything's just right. So what I would wonder about doing is like if you were to basically take the synth part that you've got, make new tracks. So you copy paste it, and then you
Yep.
have different like frequency presences. So maybe there's one that's like more like dark. It's more like low frequencies, like 100 to 500 hertz. That
Yep.
might, I mean, that'll compete with the acoustic guitar probably. So there's going to be some question of how to do that. But you can use that to create transformation, not in the synth part, but in the way that the synth takes up frequency band space across the
Yeah.
track. And by doing that, you might be able to create the feeling of transformation that I think you might want
Yeah.
without adding more parts. So it's really just a question of how do we take what we already have and give it shape so that it
Yes.
feels like yes, that it feels like a full produced like finished track rather than like a really good performance of one mic on a guitar and one mic on a voice,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
cool, but that's a different, it's just like a different
That's not what
feel.
I'm going for though. Like I guess I the Big Thief album UFOF.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. That is like what they were able to do in the studio on that album to me is just freaking crazy.
totally.
And it's
Yeah,
sort of it's kind of what I like just the dark like I mean the title track too. Again, it's not super electro like again it is like an acoustic sort of straight down the middle track, but you the what they were able to do in space in that album to me is I mean no
totally.
pun intended like uh it yeah and no you're like speaking my language here. I that's kind of exactly where what I wanted you to tell me basically.
Totally. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I know you've got to run. If we had more time, what
Yeah.
we could actually do is just listen to some of UFOF and talk about what's going on there.
Yes, yes. Oh
But
my God.
I know
Yeah.
you've got to run, but if
I do
you
have to
come
go. I'm
through,
literally like right out. I'm like a few steps away from the, like I stopped because I got here earlier than I thought I would.
totally. If
Yeah.
you come through this week, we can unpack what's going on. I'll
Yeah.
like on that recording and talk about how we can apply that.
Yeah, Tuesday we can do that.
Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. Well, it's yeah, great to talk to you. Great work so far. I mean, just as far as like chords and melody, like guitar part and vocals go, like this is spectacular. This is really beautiful.
Thank you. This song coming out of it was really in many ways what sparked me really getting back into the saddle.
Yeah.
And then obviously like getting back in touch with you. So the song is really important in my journey, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. So I thank you. Like I I'm happy that like, independent of everything else that you just like it.
Yeah. Honestly, like I'm hearing things in this where it's giving me faith in writing a certain type of chord progression because it works so well. Like just the way that the way you're working with harmony, I'm just like, wow, I should use chords like that. Like that works. It just works so well.
It's
So it's really
effective,
cool.
yeah.
One more time.
No, yeah, it's effective.
Totally. Awesome. Okay, well for now I'll let you do the stuff that you got to do and talk to you soon.
Yeah, I'll talk to you on Tuesday. But again, thanks for yeah, chatting today,
Totally.
making this
No
work.
problem.
Okay,
Yeah. Awesome.
great. See you soon. Bye.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, see you soon. Bye.
With something like guitar lessons, like I want to play that Robert Fripp solo, or like this is the sound I'm going for, versus with this class, it's more about finding your sound, which I think is extremely important if you're trying to create like meaningful music that connects with people, but also with yourself. Like, none of us are blank slates. Everybody coming into this course identifies in some way or another as an artist or a musician who, again, hasn't necessarily unlocked what they want to unlock.
I'm currently opening up a limited number of 45-minute strategy calls. On the calls, we're going to 1, get serious about your goals, 2, identify what's holding you back, and 3, make a roadmap together for how you can move forward and really achieve those goals. And after that, if it's a fit, we'll talk about working together. So if you're ready to grow as a guitarist, as an artist, and maybe even as a human being, there should be a little button below where you can click to book a time. So bring your story and we'll do the rest together. See you soon.